Very good morning, children. Welcome to biology class. I hope you are very happy that you all heard about the CBSE reduced your syllabus into the 30% syllabus is reduced. I don't know whether it is a fortunate and an unfortunate. This topic, what I am dealing it is deleted. Okay, at the same time, even though this topic was deleted and CBSE board is given advice to the school and the management and the teachers that the deleted topics also must be covered by the teachers. Okay, yes, we are ready, and you, I can say that you are fortunate that we are ready to cover all this even deleted portion also. Then but this portion for the assessment we will not consider it during the time of exams. We will leave that, otherwise we'll continue this, we'll cover this particular topics. I believe that when once if you listen anything, that it will be, that particular concept will stay the lifelong in your mindset. That's the reason, children, don't be just the easy way to listen this particular topics. Listen and learn the concept, and you will be safe in the coming days, that with the awareness of this particular the topics. Definitely these topics will be help you in the future. Okay, you no need to worry and say that the 2020 batch we studied and the topic was reduced. That's the reason we did not learn all these things. Okay, we are the teachers, we are ready to cover even your deleted topics also. Your thing is what? You have to sit and learn it. Okay, yes. So the last class we discussed about the monurans, how they are classified, the examples of the monurans we studied. There one is an Anabina and another one is the bacteria we studied. So the next phylum in Anvitagus classification is Protista. Okay, the next phylum is what? Protista. Mostly these Protistan organisms are unicellular organisms. That means you know that they stay back with the single cell. They survive throughout the life with the single cell. Single cell itself performs all the activities. Okay, yes. Not only that, they are the eukaryotic organisms. Eukaryotic organisms means what? They possess their nucleus. When they possess their nucleus, we call them as eukaryotic organisms. They are unicellular and they are eukaryotic organisms. So if you see these Protistan organisms, they have certain appendages. What is the meaning of the word appendage? Appendage means the structures, either it will be the thread-like, or it will be the hair-like or the rod-like, and whatever it is which are helping for the movements, those structures will call it as an appendages. So these Protistan organisms, they have appendages. Some organisms, they may have hair-like structures. They may have hair-like structures, and these hair-like structures are called as cilia. Okay, some Protistans, they have thread-like structures, and these thread-like structures will call it as a flagella. Okay, yes. So let's come into the nutrition. How they will get their diet, how they will get the nutrition means, they, some of the Protistants, they may act, they will be like as heterotrophic. Heterotrophic in the sense they can depend on the other organisms for the food. Okay, some Protistants, they are like I said autotrophs. Autotrophs means what? They can synthesize their own food. So their mode of nutrition either may be like as an heterotrophs, or some they may be like as an autotrophs, we can say. Okay, yes. Whereas coming to the examples for the Protistan organisms, algae, diatoms and protozoans. Algae, diatoms and protozoans. Some of the examples are given here. Let's come into this unicellular organisms. As I said, these are the unicellular organisms. Best example for unicellular organism is amoeba. Whereas coming to this amoeba, it is an irregular in shape. They don't have the fixed shape. Okay. Whereas coming to this particular structure, finger-like structures, they are called as pseudopodia. What we call them? They are known as pseudopodia. The meaning of pseudo means false, and podia means foot. They have a false foot. They look like that. Okay, but with the help of this pseudopodia, what they will do means they move, they locomote At the same time, during the time of the nutrition, higher classes, class 10th will study how the nutrition occur in amoeba. They extend their pseudopodia and they'll invite the prey to enter inside. Push the prey inside. Okay, yes. So they have an projections, finger-like projections called as pseudopodia, and they have the layers. Okay, this is an outer layer, this is called as an ectoderm, and this one is an inner layer, this is called as an endoderm. Okay, yes. So ectoderm and endoderm are the layers. Children, these diagrams are important only, children. They given all the labeling in your textbook. Just once go through that and it will be clear. When I am giving the key points, you have to draw these diagrams also. Okay, yes. They have the center, the body, and this is called as a nucleus. Okay, they have a nucleus, and we can also see that there is a fluid. This particular fluid it will call as cytoplasm. Okay, yes. Not only that, they have a food vacuole. Along with that food vacuole, and we can also see, and they also have a contractile vacuoles. Okay, children, the amoeba shape is an irregular. The outer layer is called as an ectoderm and middle layer is called as an endoderm. Okay, there is a center nucleus and they have the two vacuoles. One is a food vacuole, stores the food inside, and they have some special another vacuole that is called as an contractile vacuole. What is the function of this contractile vacuole? Means it helps for the to maintain the water levels in the inside the body of amoeba. That is nothing but we'll call it as osmoregulation. Osmoregulation means even though it lives in the water, aquatic organisms, the entire water is not present in their body, inside the body. See how beauty it is. So as an animals are inside the water, they have to fill with the water, but they have the separate specialized structures to check the water levels inside the body. So in amoeba, they have the contractile vacuoles. They maintain water levels inside the body. That is only called as an osmoregulation. Okay, children? Yes. So the second organism is the paramecium. If you see this particular organism, and the main characteristic feature is they have hair-like projections. They have an hair-like projections, and these hair-like projections are called as cilia. The hair-like projections, we'll call it as cilia, small hairs. So as they are living in the water, when the prey comes, these are called as cilia. Okay, yes. So whenever the prey comes, the food comes into the closer to this organism, this particular part is called mouth. So with the help of these hairs, they push the food particles to be enter inside. Okay, yes. So another part it is here, they have a large nucleus. Two nuclei we can see in the paramecium. They have an hair-like projections, and these hair-like projections are called as cilia. They help the food to be enter inside, and they have the two nuclei. One is larger nuclei. Larger, obviously we'll call it as a macro, and the second type of nuclei is a smaller nuclei, and we'll call it as a micronuclei. Macronuclei and a micronuclei will be present inside this. So as usual, there will be the cytoplasm. Okay, and sometimes they may have their a little amount of this the chloroplast also. Okay, yes, that's about the paramecium. Next one is coming to the third example, euglena. Okay, if you see the euglena has the characteristic feature here. They have thread-like structures. These are called as a long flagella. Okay, and even they have short flagella also. Long flagella and short flagella. Two flagellas are present. Okay, they will find the nucleus. Okay, and we can find the vacuoles, and we can find green colored. Of course, I don't have the green here with me. So green colored structure, and this is called as a chloroplast. As they have the chloroplast, so even these organisms, they can synthesize their own food. So that's all, children. These three are the examples for protist organisms. Am I clear to you? Let me repeat faster. They are unicellular, they are eukaryotic organisms. Mode of nutrition either may be the heterotrophic or an autotrophic. And examples for this is algae, diatoms and the protozoans. Okay, and you studied here the paramecium and the euglena, and these organisms, they have an appendages. Either they may have hair-like structures called as cilia, and they may have thread-like structures called as an flagella. Okay, and the second group is fungi. Whereas coming to the fungi, and these organisms are also heterotrophic. They cannot synthesize. They depend on others. Obviously, these are eukaryotic organisms. That means they have the nucleus. And these organisms are called saprophytes. These are also called as the saprophytes. Why they called as the saprophytes? Let me say about that. So why they known as saprophytes means fungi usually they cleanse the dead and decayed organisms. They clean. Okay, by releasing the digestive enzymes towards to the dead organism. So the dead organism, it starts decayed or decomposed, and it will be turned like as a soft juicy type, and that juicy soft matter will be absorbed. It will be taken by this fungi. Okay, that's the reason they are called as the saprophytes. There is another name given for the fungi also. Okay, they are also called as scavengers of the earth. Okay, who are called the scavengers? Municipality people are called the scavengers. Of course, they will clean the garbage and the waste, whatever it is accumulated over the streets. Exactly the same duty will be done by this, carried out by the fungi. Fungi is named as saprophytes, or they are also called as scavengers of earth. Okay, yes, they clean that particular area. That's they're called as scavengers of earth. Who are the scavengers of our body? Yes, they are white bread corpuscles. Okay, yes, fungi is also called as the saprophytes because they cleanse the soil. Okay, next, they have sometimes the fungi even they have the capacity to become as a multicellular organisms. Okay, yes, multicellular organisms example we can go for it as an yeast. Okay, yes, these organisms, they have the tough cell wall. The tough cell wall is made up of with a complex sugar, and that complex sugar we will call it as a chitin. This is an important children. The complex sugar which is seen in the multicellular organism cell wall is chitin. Examples for this fungi is yeast and an mushroom. Okay, in a diagrams, three diagrams are given. One is an aspergillus. If you see the aspergillus, this is called as an fungi have the filamentous in nature, children. It has a filamentous thread-like structures. These are also called as an hyphae. Through the hyphae, what will happen means a stalk-like structure it will be present, and this is called as conidia. Okay, and the top of this conidia, and this is filament, and the top we have seen crown-like structure. This is called as a conidia, and top we have the conidiopore. Okay, yes. So, and that this is a structure of the aspergillus. Aspergillus, it is an example for the fungi. Next diagram you are seeing about the penicillium. This is example for we are obtaining antibiotic from the Penicillium notatum. So in the Penicillium notatum also we can see the filament-like structures, pores, conidias, and then conidiopore. And the next one is, these are all the microscopic organisms. Whereas coming to the visible fungi example is an agaricus. Okay, common name we'll call it as a mushrooms. If agaricus, if you see, they have it attaches to the substratum like this. They have the cylindrical stalk and umbrella shaped the crown they will have. This is an example for the mushroom. Okay, that's all for about fungi, children. Okay, and here we also have to study one a short note about symbiotic nutrition. What is called as a symbiotic nutrition? We already learned in class 8th and the 7th also this term. Symbiotic nutrition is nothing but in between two different organisms, they will maintain the mutual interrelationship. The fine understanding in between two different organisms. Okay, where we'll see this fine understanding means where the fungi and algae live together, and there a group of organisms will grow, and this group of organisms will call it as a lichens. Okay, both will get the benefit. Both will get a benefit. They share their things. That type of nutrition we'll call it as a symbiotic nutrition. Okay, you studied about the two different organisms like Rhizobium leguminosum. It's a bacteria. It will be grown in the root nodules of the bean family plant. Okay, bean family plant cannot use the nitrogen directly. It needs the nitrogen, but it cannot use nitrogen directly. It depends on this Rhizobium bacteria. Okay, yes. So this plant is allowing for bacteria to construct the shelter over the root nodules, and it also takes the food from the plant. That means plant is providing shelter as well as food. Like the plant is benefiting and helping to bacteria. It's a microorganism. Whereas coming to the microorganism, how this microorganism is helping to the plant means the microorganism is converting nitrogen complex into simple forms, nitrates and nitrates. That is the best example for the symbiotic nutrition. So the same process we are seeing here also in algae and fungi. They maintain the mutual interrelationship without causing any harm. Okay, yes. So last the fourth one is plantae. You know about the plant kingdom. They are mostly multicellular eukaryotic organisms. They possess the nucleus, and even they have the even cell wall. And the food mode of nutrition in the plant kingdom is photosynthesis. They can synthesize their own food. That's why they'll call it as autotrophic nutrition. Okay. Whereas coming to the next, the last phylum is an Animalia. And Animalia is a multicellular organism, and mostly these are eukaryotic organisms without cell wall. Okay, yes. So that's all, children. Five kingdoms classification we completed. Okay, according to Vitager's classification, the living organisms are classified into, first one is monidans, the second is protista, and the third one is fungi, and the fourth is a plant kingdom, and the fifth one is an Animalia. So in the next class, very clear, we'll study how the plant kingdom further is classified. Okay, and the next topic is then how the animal kingdom was classified. Okay, just fastly just I'll brief out and you can learn it, and just you prepare for the key points. I'll forward it and do well. Okay, children, that's all for today. Stay safe at home and enjoy your day. And I said already, don't neglect to listen this particular the videos. Okay, I want all the children, all the views I want to see in the YouTube channel. Okay, that's all. Bye. Just